Hi guys, today it is time for my May wrap-up. So in May I finished 5 books and I feel so very happy about it, and I'm sweating like a motherfucker because it's so... I don't understand how it is already this hot in my flat. Let's just get onto it so, you know, I don't sweat too much. The first book I finished this month was The Crown by Kiera Cass, and this is the 5th and final book in the selection series. I have to say I definitely enjoyed this one more than I enjoyed The Heir. I gave The Crown 3 out of 5 stars. I don't know, I just thought overall it was quite enjoyable, but there were also many things that I really didn't enjoy about it. Edelyn was a lot less annoying in this one, which was great, but the thing is that it didn't really make any sense because while we obviously had a year from the release from The Heir to the release of The Crown, the time in the book was not a year. The time in the book was like basically a few hours or maybe a few days, but Edelyn's character changed like 180 and it didn't make any sense. There was no real development. She was just a different person all of a sudden. The selection for me was never a series that I, thought was great for its dystopian world building. It is really just a romance story with, dystopian elements. And so I kind of thought that this book was just a bit too much of world building. I wish Kiera Cass had just concentrated on building up the romance and giving us a bit more about that instead of trying to include some world building. What she wrote about the world wasn't anything good, and in the end we still really didn't get any conflict solved. We still don't really know how the whole world works in this series. So I wish that she had just left all that stuff out and instead gave us more romance, because while I was expecting Edelyn to choose the person she chose in the end, I don't really think that it is well-written romance. There was just not too much going on, and looking back at America and Maxon, I think there was a lot more going on with them and they did a lot more together and they got to know each other a lot better before they decided to be married and become king and queen, and I feel like Edelyn just really didn't have that with the person she chose, and I found that really sad because, we got 2 books, so I wish that we would have gotten you to see more of that. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't really happy with it overall, but I also didn't really have huge expectations, so that was fine. Next I finished Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor, and I did a buddy read with Kales from Kales Corner, and it was so much fun. I really liked this and I really enjoyed the book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a really well-written book. I think there's not many YA books that have that kind of writing in them. I thought it was really well done, and overall I just found the story incredibly intriguing, something I have never really read before. Overall with the writing, not only did I think that what she wrote was really nice, but I overall thought that the structure the book was written in was very unique, and also the pacing. And it was a little weird at times, and I think that's mostly the part why I took off the stars, but you certainly cannot deny that it was just so unique. Overall, I was just incredibly intrigued by this book, and as I said, really enjoyed reading it and really wanted to read it and was really into it, and I kind of like rushed with reading this, and Chaos kind of had to catch up, but I was really into it at some point, and I mean that's always a good sign. I just thought there were a few points that maybe weren't really smart, like the pacing and the way the story was structured wasn't super smart at points, but overall I really thought it was super enjoyable, and I'm very interested to see where the story is going. Guys, you can tell it's really hot and my brain is not properly functioning because I own a copy of Daughter of Smoke and Bone, but I just did not hold it up while I was talking about this book. So yeah, good morning. This is not going well. Next I finished Scarlet Rain by Kristen Cass. This is the 2nd book in the Escaped series, and I did a full review on this, so I don't want to go into too much detail. I reviewed the 1st book last year and I thought it was enjoyable, but there was just not enough going on and the story really only had started at that point, and I was very excited for the 2nd book because I thought that the 1st book had lots of potential, but the 2nd book really was the one to kind of decide if I enjoyed this or not. And this second book was honestly ridiculous. I was really pissed, honestly. I was really pissed and disappointed. There was no proper explanation for any of the questions we had in the first book. We get like a really rushed ending that solved the kind of problem of this second book in like 30 pages and still didn't answer any fucking questions. And I thought, okay, at least the series is done now. We got this problem solved and, well, I don't have any questions answered, but at least I don't have to bother with this now anymore. Ha! Well, then the last sentence of the book was a cliffhanger, a really fucked up cliffhanger. Yeah, I was just really pissed. I really didn't think this book was well done at all. And I will certainly not continue with this, even though I'm still pissed I don't have any answers, but I'm not gonna waste more time on the series and then potentially not get questions answered again. So yeah, 1 star for Scarlet Rain. Next I finished The Chaos by Rachel Ward. This is the second book in the Numbers trilogy and I gave this one 3.75 stars. I really enjoyed this one. This is definitely my favorite from the trilogy because this book was definitely more of what I had already expected from the first book. It had more of a dystopian aspect in it and yeah, I just really enjoyed this. It was really fast-paced and really thrilling. I wanted to read on and on because I wanted to see what happens. There were a few things that really bothered me and this one, just as the first one, was just super dramatic. Things keep happening and you know, there's always something dramatic going on, which is a bit annoying, but I just can't help myself. I really enjoy this. And then I read Infinity by Rachel Ward, which is the final book in the Numbers trilogy. I have to say I was a little disappointed by this one. I gave it 2.5 stars. Even though it is not long, it has only like 250 pages, was boring in parts and you know, whereas I wanted to always read the chaos and always wanted to know what's going on. With this one, I didn't really feel interested in it and at some point just really read it because I wanted to know, you know, what happens and how the story ends. What I did like a lot was at the end of the second book, I was a bit pissed because there was something happening that really didn't make any sense with what we knew so far from the world. So I was, you know, hoping that this mystery would get solved in this third book and that definitely happened. So that made me super happy. But overall, I just felt like the story was just really dragged out. I just felt like, oh, let's publish one more book instead of making this second book maybe just a bit longer. This also had a super dramatic storyline, but here it was more the case that in the end everything got solved really in a convenient way and I just hate when that happens. It was the same with Scarlet Rain. In the end everything still ended up super convenient and this book definitely suffered from that. Overall I thought this was a really fun, interesting trilogy. As I said, very dramatic but also in parts super realistic and just a super unique concept. And these are the 5 books that I have read in May. I, as I said, was really happy with everything that I have read and yeah, I'm also super excited for June. I still have my little May TBR that I still want to get through for the beginning of June, but I will also probably participate in a readathon in June, which I will do a TBR on. There's some other new releases in June, which I'm also very excited about. So yeah, already very much looking forward to this month. And let me know what you read in May, what your favorite book in May was. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye!